interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 135 of Vikings Uncensored. We have reached the bye week and probably coming at a pretty damn good time.
I was thinking that like at the end of the third quarter, I was like, it's probably a good week for a bye week this week.
Oh, and yeah,
I was like, regardless of how this game ends, we're ready for the bye.
Yeah,
for real.
And yeah, we had a good conversation about that on Rhino's Rants last Monday. If you didn't tune in for that, go back and check that out.
I'm sure I'll tap around it too today as we talk as well.
Yeah, and we'll get Lance's comments on that here in just a minute. But we've reached, like I said, the bye week. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of decisions to be made. We're going to take a look at, of course, we got a few news items to hit here. First off, then we'll kind of look at the state of the team as we sit here at 6-6 at the bye week. Of course, we had a quarterback controversy right now. We have a few, some play calling, coaching type stuff we need to talk about. The defense, a few other things. So we will hit that here in just a minute. Later on, we will look at the playoff scenarios for the Minnesota Vikings. The playoff scenarios are actually pretty basic. So we'll go over that stuff. And then, of course, our prediction segment. And we'll probably throw in a viral video or something somewhere around the line too. So with that, let's get started. A couple of non-Vikings related things. Of course, the first one happened earlier in the week. The Carolina Panthers fired head coach Frank Reich after 11 games. David Tepper has now fired and hired, I believe it is 6 or 7 coaches since 2019 when he bought the team.
He's still paying Matt Rule now, and now he'll be paying Frank Reich, and then he'll be paying the new staff that comes on as well.
Right.
This guy's already been known to not have any patience. He also owns, I believe, a soccer team, and I think he just fired that coach too over there.
Yeah. And of course, not to jump ahead, but looking at some of the stuff we have, some Vikings fans out there calling for Kevin O'Connell's head, basically
honestly, everybody needs to settle down. It's just like in the beginning of the year, Rhino. We're not on the playoff race yet. What? I don't care about all that outside noise. If we make the playoffs, let's fucking do this. The defense is ready to go. The biggest question mark is the quarterback. But I mean, everybody and their pets are losing their minds over what happened on Monday, and rightfully so to a certain point. But I mean, when you're calling for people's jobs and stuff and stuff like that, when I believe it's way knee-jerk reactions for sure.
Oh, absolutely, it is. That being said, Sunday night was one of the worst fucking football games I have seen in.
I agree.
Years.
I agree. I'm not happy about it at all. But you know what? Like we said to start the show, the bye week has come at the best time it possibly could, I believe, this year. This bye week is direly needed.
Mm-hmm.
There's still 5 fucking games left. Let's get hot again. I don't know. In my opinion, I put 85% of the blame on that loss on O'Connell. And about 15% on Dobbs. Yeah, he was the one out there throwing the football. But I believe O'Connell game plan for a Kirk Cousins type of performance, not a Josh Dobbs type of performance.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. I know we talked about that quite a bit on Monday, and I made those similar comments to that on the X-Files during the game Monday night. Rhinos Rants on Tuesday. Sorry, we normally do it Monday, but
Right.
we did it Tuesday due to the Monday night football game. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it looked like, and it last week in Denver as well, not quite as extreme, but he had Josh Dobbs dropping back 32 times against the Bears.
Yeah, I don't think this can. I think about 15% of the blame can be placed on Josh Dobbs' shoulders. I believe the other 85 would go to O'Connell. If we're just talking about the two.
Yeah, I probably would make it a little more even than that, maybe 70-30, somewhere around there. Because, I mean, Dobbs made some really bad decisions in that game.
The roof fucking caved in, basically, is what happened.
Yeah, he threw 4 picks. He could have thrown a couple more. Granted, a couple of the ones he did throw were tip passes, but the tip passes came because of inaccurate throws or, throwing
velocity, too much velocity on the throw, not enough touch.
Timing not right with the receivers, which is understandable because he's still only been here 3 weeks. I mean, but regardless, we'll talk about the quarterback stuff more here in a little bit.
Yep.
In other news, on Tuesday or Wednesday, whichever day it was this week, the New York Jets actually have cleared quarterback Aaron Rodgers to return to practice, have opened his 21-day window. Of course, Rodgers had allegedly an Achilles injury, the first game of the season, four plays in, and he's coming back this early. Something doesn't seem right here. I mean,
you're right. Something does not seem right. And I'm going to leave it at that. That's just the best way to put it. Something doesn't seem right. How
it doesn't, it's not, I don't know that it's medically possible for the human body to regenerate tendon in that length of time.
But I mean, with him going off and doing his darkness retreats in ayahuasca,
his
stuff like that, who knows? Maybe he found something that.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, Kirk Cousins could be back for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they're two different people, though. You got to remember that people heal differently as well.
Right, and Aaron Rodgers is doing this all for the attention. You know what's going to happen, and I don't like to wish injury on anybody, but Rodgers will come out, trots his happy ass out there on Christmas or whenever they're planning on him coming back, plays 2 plays and snaps his Achilles again. I mean,
if I was Rodgers, I wouldn't try it out there unless I knew, like Jefferson. And that's also bothering me about this fucking fan base as well. I shouldn't say that about the whole fan base, but I should say it's frustrating to see.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. I hope everybody else knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, I with Rodgers, I don't know if it's more of the organization trying to hype up the fan base, maybe. With opening the 21-day window. Just because they open the 21-day window doesn't mean they're going to activate him to the active roster.
No. But, and again, the thing with Aaron Rodgers, we all know this. We've seen this for years. I mean, the guy is a massive attention whore. I mean, he craves it. That's his whole thing. He wants the NFL world to be slobbering on his knob the entire freaking time. And it's just
all about the ego.
Yeah, and I forget who it was on one of the national programs, Manuel Acho, I think it was. Today came out and said basically the same thing. Aaron Rodgers is not doing this for the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers is doing this for Aaron Rodgers because he's an attention whore.
He wants to be in the papers and shit.
Yeah. Oh, I came back from an Achilles tear in a third of the time that every major medical thing in the history of medicine has said.
If he actually does it, Rhino, that's pretty damn amazing.
Well, yeah, more power to him. I mean, I saw that there was something the other night. I don't know if it was during the Jets game I was watching or it was Monday, whatever it was, but they were showing, the surgery, and it was a different thing. Basically, they were putting bungee straps on his tendon, tying it down, and a few kind of this new age surgery that kind of the speed heal or whatever kind of thing.
Yeah,
supposedly.
Right. And then, but Kirk, he took the regular surgery apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's this new surgery. What Rodgers got, and then Kirk just went and got the basic Achilles surgery that takes the regular amount of time.
That takes 9 months to. Yeah, so I mean, right. Kirk will be ready about May.
Did you get? Oh, speaking of Kirk's injury, though, did you get the Jared Allenton bit on your? Do you got that on your little lineup there?
Right. Yeah, I did. I did have that. And we can talk about that right now.
I'll do this, and you can just.
No, you can just whoop that right.
You can just have me on camera doing this.
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, why not? I mean, we do dumber shit on this show. So
Napoleon Dynamite with the.
Yeah. Hey, we're doing shadow puppets tonight. We've reached the bye week and we're doing shadow puppets.
Right. Well, yeah, Jared Allen is segue into that shit.
Yeah, Jared Allen was on Kay Adams' podcast here earlier this week, and he made mention of the fact that he doesn't think the Vikings should re-sign Kirk or can't pay him or shouldn't pay him probably what he's going to be wanting to get paid. Being the fact he's 35 years old and coming off an Achilles injury.
Well, he'll be 36 by the time he steps back on the field.
Or yeah. I mean, he's 35 now.
Right.
I think he turns 36 like right after training camp starts or something like that in August or somewhere around there. But yeah, so that set up an uproar in the a certain segment of the Vikings fan base.
Our fan base is just like. I almost feel sorry for some of these people because they're just all over. This has been a rough week.
Yeah,
for a lot of these guys. There's fans out there.
Yeah, there's the Jared Allen thing. People that have loved Jared Allen for years are now ripping Jared Allen. I saw on Sunday, or Monday night, sorry, during the game, Tommy Kramer made a comment about about that fourth down play to Hawkinson where he would end up inches short, saying that Hawkinson needed to run the route deeper. And yeah, he should have. Dobbs threw the ball behind him, which I think if Dobbs would have got it in front of him, he probably still would have made the first down. But the Kyrgyzstan Army launched a full-out assault on Tommy Kramer. If that had been Kirk Cousins, you'd have been ripping him a new one and this and everything else. But being it's Josh Dobbs, you're making all kinds of excuses for him and blaming the other stuff. Where's the being fair? And I mean, just shut the hell up.
Keyboard warriors, man.
I am getting so sick and tired of this civil war.
You know what? Not only shut the fuck up, but show some fucking respect, man.
Yeah.
Show some respect.
I mean, we all know Tommy likes his drinks and whatever else. I mean, there was comments about people saying up there, yeah, Tommy Kramer drunk as usual because he's making these stupid ass comments. And I'm like, guys, shut the fuck up.
Right.
That man played football for this team for, what was it? 12 years, 11 years, something like that.
The dude goes out of his way to interact with the fan base and still be kind of a part of it all.
There's nobody out there that does more for the fans than Tommy Kramer does.
Yeah, especially like on a personal level with the fans. Like you actually can sit down with the dude and have a conversation with the guy.
Yeah, I mean, and he goes out to all these small town bars around North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, Iowa, all these other stuff, just to hang out with the fans and do this.
Exactly. I mean, and talk football.
I mean, I've met the guy 3-4 times, had a beer with him, everything. Tommy Kramer is one of the most and he did a shout out for the show for us here a couple of years ago. I mean, he's one of the most genuine guys you're ever going to meet. Am I a little biased? Yeah, because he was probably my first favorite player off the team. But you guys
show some respect.
Show some exactly. Show some respect. And the whole Kirk thing, you've got the Kirk haters who Kirk could create world peace, solve world hunger, all this other stuff, and they'd find something to bitch about. You've got the Kirkistan army where Kirk could go on a rampage and commit genocide against millions of people, and they would find an excuse or make excuses for the guy. And then you got the rest of us in the middle that are like, you guys, please shut up and just
going from this Kirk thing jumping back to the Dobbs thing.
Yeah.
I believe the first 2 weeks that Dobbs was in with the Saints and the Falcons, O'Connell had no choice but to let him freelance, a little bit out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more that Dobbs was able to digest the playbook and get comfortable with the plays, the more O'Connell wanted to treat Dobbs like cousins and wanted him to do things a certain way.
He was
not freelance so much.
He was square pegging in a round hole kind of thing.
Right. And then a lot of people are out there just crucifying Dobbs on this. People don't remember that this guy's only been with the organization for 4 weeks.
Not even yet.
And he's happened to win us 2 games. I don't know who's going to try it out there against Oakland or Las Vegas. But,
yeah. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. I don't want to dig too much into that because we got a couple other things to hit here before we get to that. But other than that, other quarterback news, the Lions also opened the practice window for rookie quarterback Hendon Hooker, a guy that many in the Vikings fan base were fans of bringing in at the in the draft last year. Of course,
also a ball.
What's that?
Also a ball.
Yeah.
Volunteer. Yeah.
Of course, with Goff playing like he has, I don't expect anything out of Hendon Hooker this year, but it's bears mentioning. And then, of course, the main Vikings news this week. Tuesday, the Vikings officially activated Justin Jefferson off of injured reserve. So he will play versus the Raiders. And, of course, to everyone's sadness, to clear a roster spot for Jefferson, the Vikings released quarterback Sean Mannion. Also, I believe N'Keal Harry was released to go back to the practice squad.
Yeah.
And I think there was another move in there, too. One of the low-end guys. I don't remember what it is right now. But anyway, since we'll go ahead.
About the Jefferson thing and the fan base as well with people ragging on Jefferson because he didn't come back, for this week's game or whatever. It's upsetting. What would they have done if he would have came back this week and it would have been too early and he would have went and tore his hamstring completely and then he just would never be the same player ever again?
Yeah, or at very least have it hampered for the rest of the season like Adam Thielen. We talked about that a couple weeks or last week or whatever it was. Adam Thielen tried to come back too early, and he had that one that bothered him the entire season here a year or two ago, whatever it was.
I mean, at this point in time, our destiny is still in our own hands.
Yeah.
So, and I guarantee you, we go on a 5-game run to end the season. It's going to erase a lot of those memories, just like it erased a lot of the memories from previously in the season when the 0-3 start.
Yeah. But anyway, that's a good segue into our next segment here. So we have, of course, reached the bye week. And as the Vikings sit here at 6-6, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of loose ends. There's a lot of stuff that we need to figure out here in the next 10 days before we play again. First and foremost, of course, the quarterback situation. Now, after that debacle on Monday night, Kevin O'Connell did not commit to anybody as the starting quarterback going against the Raiders next week. If you listen to his press conferences the last couple of days, to me, I don't think it's going to be Dobbs. He made the comment.
I honestly, it's to me. I hope it's either Dobbs or and people are like, "What Dobbs? What?" No, just wait. I hope it's either Dobbs or Hall. I hope we either stick with Dobbs or we go back to Hall and give Hall another chance again to come in and see what he can do.
Yeah, personally, I think it should be Jaron Hall. I mean, we need to know what we have in him, whether he's.
And that's what it was. That's what the plan was to begin with, was to roll with Hall.
If Jaron Hall doesn't get concussed in the second drive of that game against Atlanta, we're
probably still running with Hall right now.
We probably don't get the Josh Dobbs hype train for 2 weeks, and then the ultimate rocket blowing up on the launch pad for the Pastronaut here the last 2 weeks. It would not surprise me at all to see them trot Nick Mullins out there against the Raiders, because Kevin O'Connell likes that offense where, the Kirk Cousins offense, he's, we just mentioned it earlier. He was trying to force Josh Dobbs into playing the game like Kirk Cousins would.
Which I believe kind of answers a lot of our questions when Dobbs became the starter. Like, what was O'Connell going to do with him? Was he going to run more run option passes? Which, no. Or,
he did for 2 weeks until he thought Dobbs would learn the offense.
Even in those 2 weeks that Dobbs was succeeding, there wasn't many pass options that were called. He was just taking off and running if the play wasn't there.
Yeah.
I think I seen one or two that were actually called, like an actual run pass option. But like you mentioned, I think it answered our question with what O'Connell wants in a quarterback. And he wants somebody that can run. He wants a pocket passer with the ability to make plays on the outside from time to time.
Yeah, but I think even more important than that, I think we have seen that an accurate quarterback is most paramount to what he wants, because the throws and stuff that he was asking Dobbs to make Monday night, a lot of those are quick timing passes and things like that require high accuracy, and Dobbs is not accurate. We saw that with that pass to Jordan Addison deep down the field there late in the game, where the defender had fallen down and there was nobody around Addison for 20 yards. He could have crawled into the end zone.
I think by that point in the game, when Dobbs makes that pass, a lot of it has to go into what has happened so far in the game up to that point. I think he has his moments where he's extremely accurate, where he has fit some passes into some nice tight windows.
But then he has his moments when he's extremely inaccurate as well.
That's I was just getting there. Yeah, but then he has those he's sporadic, and he makes and then he gets away with making some questionable throws as well, and he has. Even in the games he was succeeding, he was making questionable throws, but he was getting away with it because they weren't being picked off or turned over.
Well, I mean, he got away with a couple of them Monday night he very easily could have had 6 interceptions on Monday.
I was going to say 7, but yeah, 6 or
possibly
7.
7, yeah.
But like I said, I think a lot of that goes back to the coach not. You want your coach to coach the strength of the personnel and the players that are in there, right? And like I said, I think a lot of it has to be O'Connell forcing Dobbs to be something that Dobbs is not and never has been.
Yeah.
And when Dobbs has had his success, he's been able to freelance more than because I believe over the last couple of weeks, O'Connell's been slowly pulling that leash in No, this is what I want you to do. I don't want you to do a lot of that. And it's showing. But that's just my little take on that.
Yeah. And I agree with what you're saying there. And that has been infuriating to me watching this because
why are you rolling and bootlegging or wiggling fucking Dobbs out into the fucking outside or moving the pocket? You look at the guy and you understand that if you're going to use this guy, you're going to want to use this guy the same way that the Ravens use Lamar Jackson, or the way that the Eagles use Jalen Hurts. Even though Jalen Hurts he throws out of the pocket fairly well, but he go to the outside and all that. But I mean, you look at Dobbs and you know what style quarterback he is, but you're trying to force him to be what Kirk was, and that is not what Josh Dobbs is all about. It's not fair to Josh, and you're making a lot of people upset.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you look at this from a 10,000 foot level, if you want somebody who's going to run the offense like Kirk Cousins ran the offense, then we probably see Nick Mullins out there against the Raiders.
I want to see Hall. Like, why wouldn't
Yeah, no, because to me, Jaron Hall you've got Nick Mullins on one side of things. You've got strict pocket passer, fairly accurate.
He has a little bit of get up and go, but I mean,
not really. But then, and then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got Dobbs, who is that gunslinger, that off script.
He's like a point guard playmaker in basketball, basically.
Yeah. He should be out being able to freelance and do that kind of stuff. And in the middle, you've got Jaron Hall. Jaron Hall was extremely accurate in college at BYU, but he's also got good mobility and able to make plays with his legs. So he's kind of that mold of in between. So the best fit for things, I think, right now is Jaron Hall.
Yeah, I hope so. And I hope so. And I'll tell you what, you march Nick Mullins, and not that O'Connell probably cares or gives. I can't say that he does or doesn't. But if you go and you march Nick Mullins out in that field against Las Vegas, there's going to be, and he does not succeed and lead us to victory. You thought how the fans are right now, it's going to be even worse if we go out and lose against Vegas with Mullins than what it would be if we went out and lost against Vegas with Hall at the quarterback position.
Yeah. No, I don't argue that point one bit. That kind of rolls into our next point here, talking about the coaching, especially like the end of the game against the Bears. That last drive was one of the most cowardly drives I've ever seen Kevin O'Connell call.
Yep.
Now, to be
fair, ready to crucify O'Connell yet and say,
no,
we're done. No, I'm not gonna. No.
But to be fair, yes, your quarterback had thrown 4 interceptions, this, that, but and he made a mention about this. Well, we thought about bringing in Mullins during the game to get it. If you have so little faith in your quarterback at that point, why didn't you bring in Mullins to try to make a spark, try to calm things down, try to do whatever? It's kind of like what he did with Ed Donatel last year. Donatel should have been fired in November.
Yeah.
And we wrote it out till the end of the year. I don't know, Kevin O'Connell, is he this worried about hurting people's feelings, or
he's still learning, man?
I know he is. And I like Kevin O'Connell, don't get me wrong, but there's stuff like this that just drives me nuts on this, Okay, you're thinking about doing this to get a spark, but yet you keep trotting out and keep doing the same thing. He talks about needing to be more aggressive and stuff like that.
It like you talk it, right? Walk it like you talk it, O'Connell. Walk it like you talk it.
He's obviously aware of this stuff, and I made this comment the other night. We were talking about it on the rants. Kevin O'Connell, and I think this is why Kevin O'Connell and Kirk work so well together, probably, is because they're very similar people, I think. I think O'Connell gets in his own head a lot of times too, just like Kirk Cousins is known to do.
There might be something there with that for sure, yeah.
Because look at at the Atlanta game and the New Orleans game. When we had to freelance, we had to do it without thinking stuff. Things worked well.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Until O'Connell started reeling things in the second half of that Saints game.
Yep.
But if you have to be running back and forth, you're making the computer shake.
But yeah, and then when we had the problem in Denver, and it reared its ugly head even worse against the Bears on Monday.
Yeah.
We
made that Bears defense look like their number one defense.
Yeah, and I knew that the running game was going to be a little bit tough because the Bears were third against the run in the league. So they're a very good run defense. But
I thought we did fairly well running the ball. For the most part,
especially for a while we were, yeah. But then when it came down to it, when we needed to do it, it was 1 yard, 0 yard, 1 yard, nothing, -2 yards, punt.
Because we were. By that time in the game, we had already turned the ball over fucking 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, but that last drive, we needed 1 first down, and we could have ran the clock out and snuck out of there with a putrid-looking win. But instead,
like we always say, a W is a W. Even if you, like I said, after the third quarter, I was like, I'm ready for the bye week. However this game turns out, or however this game is determined, I said this is the perfect time for a bye week because this is just garbage this is just garbage football.
Mm-hmm.
And it really was.
Yeah.
And coming from a team that was arguably the hottest team in the league up until Denver.
Right. And lost in all this is the defense. The defense has given up 1 touchdown in 8 quarters.
People are pitching.
We have given up 1 touchdown in 8 quarters, and we've lost 2 games.
Your defense cannot play perfect football every single game and expect your offense to make up for their mistakes.
No.
When you're letting other opposing teams get the ball, on the 40 or 50 yard line to start their drives, and you're expecting your defense to stop them from getting a field goal. You're expecting your defense to stop them from getting 20 yards, compared to 60 or 70.
Right. Now, I will take a little bit of an issue with the defense on that last drive when we decided we weren't going to blitz Justin Fields when it had been working all night long.
Yeah.
If we were up by 4 points or more, I fully would understand that because all you got to do is keep them out of the end zone. But when we're only up by 1, you got to keep them out of field goal range, and we didn't do that.
No.
That was the biggest
sack would
gripe
have been huge right there. The sack would have been huge.
But
you know what? Regardless of the defense, the offense, and the special teams, we obviously went into that game and we didn't deserve to walk out of that game.
No, we did not. We absolutely.
And if we would have, then like I said, the W is a W, but we didn't deserve to win that game at all.
No.
And that defense played well. That defense is the only unit. The special teams didn't have much of a. Powell had a decent return,
And Ryan Wright, that last punt was terrible.
Yeah,
he's not having a good. He's not having a good year this year.
Going off of O'Connell's famous saying, "Be at your best when your best is required," that was nowhere to be seen on Monday night.
No.
So,
about the only person you can really say that about was Danielle Hunter. That man
Josh
was
Metellus,
an absolute Metellus too, but Danielle Hunter was an absolute beast on that field Monday night. He had, I think, 10 pressures. And I think 3 of those, if I remember the stat right, 3 of those 10 pressures came in under 2.5 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he did get another sack, which ties him now for the league lead with 13.5 and gives him 84.5 for his career. He needs 1.5 more to pass Jared Allen for 6th all time.
And those are numbers of a very good, just at this point, those are numbers of a very good player to have stepped foot in this league alone. And this guy I think, has a good 3 more years ahead of him yet.
Oh, yeah. He needs 12.5 more to get to 5th place all time on the Vikings roster, which I don't see happening this year, of course. But should he stick around, it happens very early next year. Chris Dolman has 96.5. But Yeah, Daniil Hunter was the best player on the field Monday night. He absolutely
I
was.
said, Metellus has got to have an honorary mention there, and Pace Jr. had that good night too.
Yeah, he
the
did.
last 2 weeks, Pace Jr. has really. I mean, he's had a good season as a rookie in general, but the last 2 weeks he's taken his game up another level.
Yeah, he stepped in quite well, running that defense with Jordan Hicks out.
We got a gem in that pickup in a UDFA.
Yeah, and I mean we've talked about that ever since the draft. So I mean it's. But anyway, with that, we're gonna roll into another one of our viral videos of the week. So why don't you go grab yourself another coal and crack it open? Check this out. We'll be back in just a minute.
Yeah, but like loads of money. Fuck it all.
All right, we are back. We have rambled on about the good, the bad, the ugly so far with the team up into the bye week. And we've reached that point in the season, of course, where the playoff situation is in effect. Playoffs?
Playoffs?
Playoffs? I just hope we win a game. Playoffs?
Right. Playoffs.
But actually, for the Minnesota Vikings, the playoff scenarios are pretty simple. Starting off with best case scenario, if the Vikings go 5-5 and Detroit goes 3-3, which 2 of those losses would be to us, being we played Detroit twice in the final 3 weeks of the season.
5-0, and they go right 3-3.
Yeah, we would have to go 5-0. They would go 3-3. We win the NFC North. Now Detroit has a tough schedule. They have the Saints this weekend, then the Bears. Then the last 4 weeks of the season, they have the Broncos, the Vikings, the Cowboys, and the Vikings again.
Exactly. People just need to woosah, people.
So I mean,
relax.
Honestly, 3-3 for Detroit is not
would be a commendable for them.
It's not an outrageous take for that last 6-game stretch,
especially honestly with the way they have been playing.
I think they beat the Saints. I think they beat the Bears.
They almost lost to
the Broncos. Man. They should have lost the Bears 2 weeks ago. Yeah, the Broncos are no gimme anymore.
No, the Broncos are starting to turn it around over there in Denver.
Yeah. I think the Cowboys probably beat the Lions.
I agree.
And then it all comes down to the 2 games with us. You know, if we can. I think we probably, or I would at least like to see a split out of that. But, you know, we'll worry about that when we get there. But I'm not putting my eggs in that we're going to win the NFC North. But as far as the getting a wild card spot goes, we control our own destiny.
We do.
As it sits without a problem. If we finish out of our last 5 games, if we finish 3-2 or better, we're in the playoffs. Plain and simple, done.
Yep.
You know, and we have Vegas. We have the Jake Browning-led Bengals, which suddenly a more realistic game. Yep. We have Detroit. We have Green Bay, and we have Detroit.
And what a better way to actually say we control our own destiny when you got the last 3 games going up against the ones that you know the best.
And 2 of those final 3 games are at home. So,
right. I mean, we got. I am so upset with this fan base right now, and I understand to a point, like I said earlier, why they feel the way they do, but really fucking relax and settle down, because there is some good football ahead, I believe, still.
Yeah. If the Vikings go 2-3, they're going to need a little bit of help because Green Bay, the Rams, and Tampa Bay all could pass us. We do, and Atlanta and New Orleans are in the mix as well, but we do hold tiebreakers over both of them since we beat them. I don't see Green Bay winning out. They have Kansas City this weekend. Rams, I'm not sure what their schedule is. I didn't look at it. And Tampa Bay, I'm not too worried about.
No.
But if we go 1-4, we're probably not making the playoffs.
No, and we don't.
It's still possible, but
we won't.
unlikely.
I don't think that we deserve to make the playoffs if we go.
If we go 1-4, no, we don't deserve it.
But I'm not going to complain though either. But I mean,
no, you never complain for wins. You never complain for making the playoffs or whatever. But
right
at 1-4, we're probably watching it, the wild card round, at home on the couch.
Right, sitting with a mid-round pick.
Yep, 18 to 22, somewhere in there probably.
Yep.
If we finish 0-5, we don't make the playoffs.
No, I don't see that happening though either. I don't see us winning another game.
I don't think so either, but after what we saw on Monday night, anything's possible. We could go 0-5 to finish out the year.
I don't foresee that happening. We've been competitive outside of Monday night. We've been competitive in every fucking single game this season.
Yeah, but we have to stop with the self-inflicted wounds, the
if
9 turnovers in the last 2 weeks.
If that's the one thing we stop, Rhino, is those self-inflicted wounds, we're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that we need to stop, it's the turnovers. And if we can do that, we are going to be just fine.
Mm-hmm. Now, my opinion on the last 5, I believe we can go 3-2 and sneak in as the 6th or the 7th seed, depending upon how the rest of it falls in. I made this comment earlier today, and this would be the most Vikings thing ever. And I won't say the most Vikings thing ever because stuff like this has happened to us many times over the years. I could very easily see them rolling out Jaron Hall against the Raiders, us winning that game, then going into Cincinnati, winning that game. Everybody gets their hopes up, and then we drop the last 3 and miss the playoffs.
I mean, oh gosh. Yeah, Art comes down to that final game and winning you're in, and we just can't do it.
Yeah. How many times has that happened to us over the years?
I think this is setting us up again for another spring. You know, if we go and we beat Oakland in Oakland, man, that could springboard us into another, set of 5-game run there to enter the playoffs. And that'd be fantastic.
If we beat Oakland in Oakland, it doesn't matter because Oakland doesn't have a team anymore.
I know. I was going to say Las Vegas. I got the Oakland, Vegas. They played somewhere else too. Where
Los Angeles, yeah.
Los Angeles, yeah. They're all the same.
Yeah, so I think there's still. I mean, we're sitting at a 58% chance of making the playoffs right now, which 2 weeks ago was like 82%. But
that's what happens when you shit down your pants. You piss down your leg or shit your pants for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah,
that's what happens.
Yeah, and I mean, we literally drank a keg of beer and pissed the entire thing down our freaking leg on Monday night. Yeah, that was if we'd have won. If we'd have won that game on Monday night, we're pretty easy.
Pretty much locked in the playoffs. Pretty much.
Yeah, it wasn't a done deal, but the odds were pretty damn good that we would even if we fuck up the rest of the year, we'd make our way in.
Right. Yep. All hope is not lost. There's a reason why we're fans. There's a reason why we cheer. There's a reason why we get upset. We love this fucking team.
Yeah. I mean, we're at DEF CON probably 3 right now.
Yeah.
You know, we're not opening the hatches on the nuclear silos or anything yet, and
Some people are.
that kind of stuff.
I've seen it, man.
Oh, I know some people do that. Did that last year when we were 13-4.
Yep, and made the playoffs.
Right.
This team is a lot better than that team, people. This team is a lot better. I mean, outside of the Riddler mystery quarterback situation that we're in right now, this team is better than last year's team. And this team, if they can figure out that quarterback position and get some sort of stability there, we're going to be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be just fine. I don't know about going to the ship, but the playoffs, yeah. If we can get stability at the quarterback position, yeah.
And I saw this. Somebody tweeted this today, and it's sad, but it's probably accurate. They said, at the point in time when Kirk Cousins finally gets the defense that he needs to get over that hump and actually make a playoff run, then he gets injured and is not out there anyway.
Vikings, man. That's why we're Vikings.
It is. It's just because
it just goes right into the lore. Literally Viking lore. Football Viking lore, for real. Yep. It's here. It's all here.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of the playoff stuff. We control our own destiny to get in. Once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen, of course. So
0-5, no chance. 1-4, slight chance. 3-2, we're probably getting in. 5-0, we're in.
3-2, we get in.
3-2, we are in. So just that 3 is the magic number.
2-3, we need help. 1-4, probably not going to make it, but
so
still
3
possible.
Is the magic number, people. 3 out of the next 5. 3 is the magic number.
Yep. So anyway,
I want 5.
Oh, well, of course, always want to win them all, but looking at realistic scenarios here, and that 3-2 is realistic, I think.
And its defense is just. I think it's at where it's at, but it's sitting pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, just get it done.
Yeah. So with that, let's roll into our prediction segment for the week. Of course, we normally would predict the Vikings game, but being they are on the bye, we're going to look at the rest of the NFC North as we typically do. Chicago also on a bye this week. One could argue that the Vikings and the Bears did not deserve a bye this week, being they had one last week. But at any rate, we do have 2 NFC North games that are of importance. Starting off with the Detroit Lions traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. What do you think on this one there, Brunswick?
I mean, I think being in New Orleans is a positive, obviously, for the Saints. I don't have any confidence in Derek Carr. Really. That defense is good. That Saints defense is decent. I do believe, though, they're pretty thin at the corner position right now. I want the Saints to win. But the way the Lions have been playing in the last couple of recent weeks, I don't have much confidence that the Lions can really do much either. So, I don't want the Lions to win, and for that matter, I'm going to pick the Saints to win the game. But I could easily see the Lions winning this one.
Yeah.
But like I said, with the way they've been playing the last couple of weeks, they haven't been playing like they came out really hot, and they're starting to cool down, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Detroit played like absolute garbage on Thanksgiving, which, I mean, they tend to do. They've lost like 8 straight on Thanksgiving, I believe it is. But I would like to say that the Saints are going to beat Detroit this weekend, but I have no faith in the Saints whatsoever. I'm not a believer in Derek Carr. Their offense is garbage down there. I mean, they've got weapons. They've got, Olave. They've got Alvin Kamara, who is not what he used to be, but is still
twilight of his career. Twilight, yeah.
He's still a good running back. They've got, other things. Mike Thomas, I'm not sure if he's playing this week or not.
Michael Thomas was washed up 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean he is what he is at this point. You got Taysom Hill, of course, but their defense, yeah, it's good. I mean, we saw that their defense was decent. I mean, although we bolted out to a big lead on when we played them,
Yep.
and then went conservative and let them come back into the game. But I'm going Detroit here. I don't want to see Detroit win, but I think they're going to.
Yeah.
Then
I hope the Saints win. We can take all the help.
I do too. I hope the Saints. I mean,
I don't want to have to rely on other teams losing for us to get into the playoffs.
No,
but I mean,
and that's the thing. It's the rest of the season. I hope every NFC North team but the Vikings lose every freaking game.
Yeah. Yep.
No, I know. I'm pretty sure there's some. There's some interdivision games yet that happen, so that's impossible. But regardless, then the other NFC North game this weekend, Kansas City travels to Lambeau Field to take on the Packers. What you think on that?
I believe this is it's a trap game for Kansas City, but I think this is Kansas City's game to lose. Honestly, I think they should go in there and take care of business. Granted, this isn't the same Kansas City team that we've seen in recent years, as far as explosiveness on offense goes. So that defense is still pretty good though in Kansas City. I can't healthily and non-sickly pick the Green Bay Packers to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and logically Kansas City should beat the Packers. So I'm going with KC here.
Yeah, I mean, 2 wins in a row for the Packers, and all of a sudden the national media is all jumping on their jock again.
Packers fans are just, I mean, they're going through it this season too. I mean, who cares? But
right,
yeah.
But they're doing that whole objects in your mirror closer than they appear. We're coming, kind of.
Exactly. That's perfect. That's the best way to put it. Yes.
And it's a cute story, and we talked about this many times during the season. I brought this up. I want the Packers to be just relevant enough to barely miss out on the playoffs, which I think is probably what's going to happen this year.
And still have some interest to see what Love can do.
So that they're not in it to get, one of those top quarterbacks next year. They stick with Jordan Love for another season, which I think they should do anyway, because I don't agree with that 1 year and throw them out the door kind of mentality.
My little tip here, they either go receiver or offensive line next year in the first round.
I think they go with a left tackle to replace Bakhtiari, because I think Bakhtiari is pretty much
done. Or a receiver, I think.
No, I mean, their receivers are playing better the last couple weeks. I mean, but regardless, like you said, Kansas City is not the overpowering juggernaut that they have been in recent years, but they're still Kansas City.
Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes, but the supporting cast around him isn't as strong as it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, you went from, the wide receivers that you're picking up at Saks Fifth Avenue to now you have wide receivers that you're picking up at Dollar General. And I think that makes a big difference. But Mahomes is still Mahomes. You still got Kelsey.
Not much of a running game there as far as outside of Mahomes getting yards, though, either.
I mean, Pacheco is having a decent season.
Pacheco is pretty decent, I guess. Yeah, I backed it up a little bit. I will back my statement up there a little bit, because Pacheco has been pretty good from what I've seen of him play.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Kansas City wins this when Green Bay comes back to earth a little bit. And, in Green Bay means it's going to be a little bit tougher. If it was in Kansas City, I'd feel a whole lot more confident about Kansas City winning, but I still think they go into Lambeau and take care of business. So.
I agree. And Andy Reid's a great coach. And that helps
He
a lot,
is.
too.
You know, after the win last weekend, he became the all-time winningest coach in the history of the Kansas City Chiefs. So
he has been a great coach for many, many years. He was good when he was in Philly, but he just couldn't get over the hump, you know. And he constantly had that Philly team playing good football. And now he's constantly got Kansas City contending for championships. So he's a great coach. He will be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
in the future.
And I like Andy Reid. He's hard not.
He's a hard to not like type of guy. Honestly, he really is. The Walrus is really hard to not like.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Anyway, but with that, that's about all I've got for this week. You got anything else you want to hit quick before we close her out?
Everybody just needs to take a big breath and just get ready to ride out the rest of the season. Like a lot of people have said, just have fun. At this point, just have fun. A lot of crap has happened to this team, but we've been able to still possibly do some things that we thought starting out 0-3 that weren't going to be possible. So just keep riding the wave, keep being a fan, keep the faith. If not, there's always next year. So
the mantra of the Vikings.
Yep. Also, this is kind of off topic for us, but we've discussed it before. Tyreek Hill. When we first started this podcast, and I remember this within the first few episodes, there was the comparison between Tyreek Hill and Randy Moss as far as careers go. And I got to give it to Tyreek. I have to really give it to Tyreek because he is getting to that point to where I believe you can definitely mention Hill legitimately in the same sentence as Randy Moss as far as receiving goes. The dude has proved it by just him going from Kansas City was to Miami and still being able to do the things that he does there is just insane. So, anyways, that'll be my send off. So I'll let you take it this week and finish send off.
All right, I'll trump that by saying I still think Justin Jefferson is better than Tyreek Hill. But
at this point. But as far as career goes, I know, like I said, 3 years ago we were discussing. We're like, no. But now that those 3 years have passed that we've been doing this together, Hill's getting to the point where he can be in the same conversation as Randy Moss.
Yeah, I won't argue that point. But anyway, want to thank everybody for joining us this week. Jumping in on the ranch shows, the Brunswick's Best, the studio shows we have every week. We couldn't do this without you guys. We really appreciate you guys more than you'll know. If you've not done so, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Helps us out with the metrics. Helps us bring more and better content to you guys. Shout out to everyone who watches us every week. Shout out to the Filipino fan club, Noy and the crew over there who watch as well. Thank you from halfway around the world. And with that, you guys have a great weekend. Watch some stress-free football for a change because the Vikings are not involved in anything. Cheering for, of course, a Saints victory and a Kansas City victory to help us out as much as possible. But with that, again, you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday for Rhinos Rants and the rest of the shows as well next week, normal time. So have a good weekend, guys.
SKOL.